everybody, it's Maria. Recently, I was at a wedding and I was wearing one of my usual wraps and I felt really good in it. And it brought up a nice talk with somebody about something that has come up many times in the head wrapping community. A lot of people refer to it as the Tichel versus Shaitel debate. I don't like to call it that because to me, I don't feel like it should be a debate. Not anymore. I feel that it should be referred to more as a question, and I prefer to call it the Tichel versus Shaitel question, or to Tichel or to Shaitel. That is the question. It's just that nowadays, it's not a debate anymore, it's a question, because now there are a lot of different ways to go. I remember when I was growing up, when there weren't a lot of options. If a woman covered her hair, she only had two options. She would wear a shaitel if she wanted to look good, and she would wear a tichel if she didn't. Now those tichels back then were weeny teeny little things. You just tied them around your head. You couldn't do much with them, so they never really looked particularly good. Although, admittedly, they didn't always look bad. It was just that, like I said, you couldn't do much with them. A shaitel was the only way to go if you wanted to look good. But then, when I got older, a lot of new and different head coverings came out. Hats and berets came out, and so did new tichels, which I generally refer to as Mitpachot. They're larger, and they're soft, and they come in a lot of beautiful colors and prints, and you can do so much with them. In fact, one of the reasons that Mitpachot are right now my favorite head covering is that they are so versatile. You can do so much with them. So when it comes to special events in particular, the question is not, what on earth do you do if you don't wear a shaitel? The question is, what can you do if you decide that you don't want to wear a shaitel? First of all, you have to remember that a shaitel is a valid head covering. And if you, the individual woman, if you feel beautiful and elegant and dressed up appropriately in a shaitel, then yes, that is what you should wear. If that is what works for you, that is what you should wear. Just remember, however, that your shaitel does need to be clean and neat, and it has to be in a style and color that flatter your face. I have seen bad shaitels. Now, the shaitel makers that I know are not responsible for those bad shaitels. Don't ask me how I know that, I just do. But I have seen shaitels that are messy and or just plain unflattering. And those are not good, no matter how you slice it. A shaitel still has to frame and flatter your face. It has to be clean and neat and flattering. But let's say you're like me and for whatever reason, you're just not comfortable in a shaitel. For whatever reason. There are a lot of good alternatives to it. When it comes to Mitpachot, there are a lot of great options. So when it comes to Mitpachot, first you have to consider the scarf. If the scarf itself is inherently dressy to begin with, maybe it has sparkly threads woven through it, or maybe it has sequins on it, maybe it has ruffles on it, whatever. If it is inherently dressy to begin with, it's generally best to do it in a very simple wrap style. This, what I'm holding up here, is a tapestry scarf by Rapunzel. And I particularly love this for special events because it is inherently dressy. And because it's inherently dressy, I can do it in a very simple wrap and it will look appropriate. Here, I'm doing it in a basic turban wrap. Drape it from the back and crisscross it in the front, and then keep crisscrossing, wrapping, and tucking. And you get a great look. And because the scarf is inherently dressy, it will look appropriate for any special event. Now, I myself find that turban wraps work particularly well for special events because they cover my ears comfortably. And I find that that's a concern for me when I'm at an event that might feature very loud music. And by the way, PSA, I don't like loud music, and neither do a lot of other people, so people should learn how to keep the music down. Having said that, I find that since turban wraps cover my ears comfortably, they make it easier for me to handle loud music. And if I have to put in earplugs, the Mitpachot covers it. Now, this does not mean, however, that everybody else is limited to a turban wrap. There are plenty of other beautiful wraps that can be done, very nice, simple ones. So, I'm going to demonstrate one or two. This is a shimmery scarf from Rapunzel. Now, if you're going to wear a scarf like this by itself, again, a nice simple wrap does the trick. I find though that I don't like to wear this particular scarf all by itself. I much prefer to layer it and wear it as an accent with a different scarf. Now, what I'm about to demonstrate here is a wrap that I wore to a bar mitzvah a few years ago, and I loved it. This is my salmon 2-in-1 from Rapunzel, and what I did with it was I did it in a layered legal wrap. I draped it symmetrically over my head so that the ends are even. And then I draped, I forgot to tie it. And then I took the shimmery and I layered it, again, with the ends hanging even. Always tie the scarves snug, but not too tight. Then I took the 2-in-1 and I layered it around and I tucked it. And then I took the shimmery and again I layered it around, making sure that the initial scarf was peeking out, and I tucked it. And if a little fringe sticks out, it's all up to you. Doesn't matter to me. And then I just did the same thing on the other side. Always make sure to tuck in the labels. And as you can see, I got a really nice layered wrap from this. Granted, it did not cover my ears comfortably, but this was all right. And it worked for the bar mitzvah that I went to. Now, again, special events lend themselves very well to layered looks. So I'm going to demonstrate another layered look with the same scarves that I wore to a bar mitzvah this past summer. Here I'm doing a basic turban wrap. Again, drape it from back to front and crisscross it and tuck. I personally prefer to tuck in most fringes, so I keep them tucked. Then what I did with my shimmery was I draped it for a Marrakesh turban. This time I did it somewhat asymmetrically, and I crisscrossed the short end and then wrapped the long end around, and I tied it in a knot near the front so that the fringe is hanging, so that I get a tail. And then I take the back tail and I tuck it in wherever it would tuck. And as you can see, I got a great special event look, this time with some extra ear cover. Now, since the Marrakesh turban is one of my favorite special event wraps, I sometimes like to do it all by itself. For my son's bar mitzvah, I took this floralesque scarf. By Rapunzel. And again, I draped it asymmetrically. I've done this for weddings too. And I wrapped the long end and I gathered it into a knot to get a tail, and then I simply tuck in the short tail. And again, I got a great look. The thing is that when it comes to special events, or really anything, everybody has to remember that to Tichel or to Shaitel is really a matter of what the individual woman wants to do. If you want to wear a Shaitel, if you feel beautiful and elegant and comfortable in a Shaitel, then yes, as long as your Shaitel is clean and neat and flattering to you, it's a no-brainer. But if you don't feel comfortable in a Shaitel, don't be afraid to try other things. You're not limited. Just make sure that the style, that whatever you decide to do, that is something that is appropriately dressy and is flattering. But there are plenty of appropriate wraps and styles for special events. So go look around, get inspired, play around, experiment, and have fun. Bye-bye.